Now in this
video series,
I'm going to move on to what to do after you got it centered, and that's digging your well, opening it up, and then pulling your walls up. Now to open the well, oftentimes students dig their well centered, but when they open it, it gets thrown off center. And so when I learned the pottery wheel and how to throw, my teacher taught me how to dig my well this way and then open it up with my hands moving left and right. Now that works if you can evenly pull your hands apart, but if one hand pulls harder than the other, you end up getting an off-centered piece. So I've learned to change that technique now when I teach my students, to change it to where we're working at midnight now, so the top of the clay. And the way this technique works, you take both hands, you make C's, then you then connect them together, and then the thumbs are on the inside of your clay at midnight, the pointer fingers are on the outside of your clay at midnight. And what you're doing is with the tips of both your thumbs and your fingers, you're moving them together to open the well. And you're not really wanting your walls to go outwards. You want it to stay more or less vertical. You're just trying to get the inside wall to then be parallel with the outside. So you want to remove this slope and you want to make a nice perfectly parallel wall moving up and a perfectly flat floor. So the goal is to make your inside look like this. And that is what we're going to do. So once again, add some water. And when you do this technique, I'm going to keep my hands open so you can see the clay moving from the camera angles. But when you start, it might be easier to start with your hands together, because the moment they touch each other, the more they move like a unit. You can also stack your fingers on each other so that they have less surface area touching, and sometimes that's easier than if they're both side to side. So for this specific demo, and the way I like doing it, I do like having them stacked, or at least my thumbs stacked and my pointer fingers side to side. So you can pick and choose which way is the most comfortable for you. And once again, always anchor your arms to your splash pan or your legs. Okay, so go ahead. Let's go ahead, get the clay wet, add a little more water, and thumbs are moving to my pointer fingers, not together. My pointer fingers stay there, act as a wall, and my thumbs move outwards. So it looks something like this. Okay, so here we go. So as I am moving it, my goal for my thumbs, okay, I'm gonna stop right here so you can see, my thumbs are not digging the well deeper. I'm trying to maintain that thickness I've made, and I'm just opening it up. So when you dig your well, you don't want to go deeper than what you already have. So let's go in and continue. Okay, so now this is pretty good and set up. I have a vertical wall here, vertical wall here. I created a slight undercut for my right hand, and that's perfect for the sponge to get in there. And then I'm going to be creating an undercut with my left hand so that I can then pull this wall up. So right now, I want to set my inside corner right here to ensure that I have a nice corner for my fingers to get into to pull. So that my next step is to set my inside corner. So I take my pointer finger from my left hand, or my middle finger, and then I'm just pushing outwards towards 3 o'clock. If that feels uncomfortable for you, you can try your middle finger and pull towards you at 6 o'clock. Either or, you're just creating this undercut here so that you have a little indent for your finger to get into. Now, sometimes that creates this little plateau, so you just get your sponge and push down. All right, so another thing that you may notice, sometimes when you open your well, the floor gets a little thicker. So if you needed to dig this deeper, or if you threw it thick and you need to thin it out after you open, it's a pretty easy technique. What you do is you take either hand, left or right. I'll take my right hand since most people are right-handed, and you just dig a new well with your middle finger. Okay, so I'm just pushing straight down. Now I'm really gonna pull my middle finger in my right hand. I'm pulling it towards my body to open this well up. So it kind of hooks in there, and I'm kind of pulling my finger like this and towards my body. And then my left finger, and my right pointer finger is kind of pushing down this edge right here because that will rise up. So as I pull it towards me, I'm compressing down the top with my fingers, and I'm opening it up even more. Okay. Same thing works if you're left-handed. Push down and then pull towards your body. Okay, and that's how you can dig your well a little deeper if you notice it's thick after you open it up. Okay, so at this step, this is where you normally move into your left hand inside, right hand in outside. And you push out, push in, and then pull up. And that is the second hardest part about throwing, is pulling your walls up. And oftentimes that's where students really struggle, because they have a nice setup, vertical wall inside, vertical wall outside, and then when they start pulling, they either squeeze too hard, and when they pull up, it rips, or they don't squeeze hard enough, and the clay doesn't really do anything. So I've learned that adapting a new pulling technique for at least the beginning steps really helps bring this up vertically. And so to do your first initial pulls, it's going to be very similar to the way we opened it, where our thumbs are inside at midnight, pointer fingers outside at midnight, and then my thumbs move my pointer finger. The only difference this time is both fingers are now going to squeeze the clay together to compress them, and then our hands are going to move upwards to pull it up the pot to make it taller. So when we do it, it looks something like this, where you squeeze the hands together and then you lift up. Now, one thing to remember, when you start lifting your hands up, you want to make sure you're not going straight up, but you're actually pulling towards your body. And the reason for that is if you pull straight up, the way that the wheel spins causes this to open up. So when we pull up, we actually want to pull towards our body. So I'm going to change the camera angle so you can really see how the squeeze and pull works from this angle here. Okay, to recap, pointer fingers at midnight, thumbs inside at midnight, squeezing the clay together, and our hands pull towards our body, compressing the most at the bottom, and then as we lift up, our hands are going to release the pressure. So on a cross cut, pointer fingers are going to be at the very bottom at the outside where the bat meets the clay. Your thumb is going to be at the very bottom on the inside where your bat meets the clay. And once your clay is too tall where your hands can't squeeze at that spot, you won't be able to do this technique anymore. So to begin, this technique works really well to get your pulls up. So usually I do this 2 times. First one to thin the clay out and pull it up just a tad bit, and then next one to really, really pull. Okay, so here we go. Thumbs inside at the bottom, pointer fingers inside at the bottom at midnight. I can kind of stack my fingers if I want. Squeeze the clay, feel it really compress. You can see it getting wider on the overhead cam, and then I start pulling up. Okay, when I get to the very top, leave it there for a few seconds and release. Now as you do that, you may start seeing the outside and inside rise faster, and that's totally fine. Just take your sponge, place it over the rim, and then compress down. Or if you want to do compressions with your fingers, pointer finger of your left inside, thumb outside, right pointer finger pushes down with the side, like a parking gate, and then you can kind of tilt it in, and then round it out. Okay, so that was the first pull. Now as you can see in this side cam, my clay went a little outwards, and that's because when I pulled, I probably went more upwards than I did towards my body. So what I'm going to do before I do my next pull is a quick compression to get this more centered. So to do that, I'm going to make 2 sweeps with my hands, connect them together, and push forward at 6 o'clock, and then slowly lift my hands up. So that just straightens my wall out. Then on my inside wall, I'm going to take this edge and I'm just going to kind of squeeze very lightly to get it back to being straight. So now I am ready for my next pull. And this one's going to be a little more aggressive. And before I do this next pull, I have this slope. My inside corner's gone. So I'm going to go ahead and reset that inside corner with my left finger, just like how I did initially. And now I'm ready to do my next pull. So I'm going to do the squeeze at midnight technique one more time, and hopefully I can get this to double the height. So this is going to be a very aggressive pull. So once again, thumbs inside at midnight, pointer fingers outside midnight, squeeze and pull. This time when I'm pull, I'm going to try to only use my fingertips, and I don't want to use too much surface area with my fingers, because if that grabs the clay too much, it can cause it to get off center. So I want to make sure my hands are nice and slipped up so it stays nice and lubricated, and let's go ahead and pinch. So remember, pinch and pull towards your body. So here we go. And if you can look at the side cam, my hands kind of look like a T-Rex. So I'm going to push and then kind of pull up like that. And here we go. Okay, now I'm doing the pull. I'm really emphasizing the pull towards my body, And I'm starting to release the pressure here. When I get to the top, slowly release, and I release away. So maybe not double the height, but at least 50% taller. And I probably could do this pull one more time because my hands can basically touch the bottom. So we'll do that one more time. So I got lucky, I was able to do it 3 times. So here we go. Pinch, compress, and pull. Really emphasizing that pull towards my body. I hope part 2 of this 3-part series has helped you learn a new way to open and pull your walls. In part 3, we'll cover the traditional way to pull your walls up.
And like this, like and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Thank you.